Good morning, everyone, and welcome to EPM Live's Tech Tuesday using resource negotiations. My name is Morgan Meyer. I will be today's webinar facilitator. Presenting today's topic is EPM Live technical trainers, Christina Williams and Marianne Uribe. Today's webinar will be recorded and distributed a little later this afternoon, and I'll also be monitoring the chat windows should you have any questions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Christina and Marianne, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Morgan. My name is Marianne Uribe, and I'm going to play the role today of the project manager. So with the resource negotiations, we have two roles that we're going to be working with: the project manager, myself, and then the resource manager will be Christina Williams. Sometimes we do have a blended role. So what we're going to show you are 3 steps. It's a 3-step process. Now, sometimes there could be more, but today we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to show you a 3-step process. We're going to start with myself as the project manager in the project center. Then once I save my my resource plan, it will go to, Christina will take over. She'll get an email indicating that I created a resource plan, and it's up for her to approve those possible commitments. And then she'll send it back to me after she looks over the resource plan and accepts or rejects any of the proposed commitments that I've entered. So we'll start with myself, the project manager. I'll go into the resource plan from the project center, and I'll select some roles. I'll put in some hours or FTEs, and then I'll save. And then again, that email will be sent, as well as a general notification to the resource manager. Christina will take over, review the notification and the roles and proposed commitments from myself. She'll swap out some of the, I'm going to add some generic roles, and she'll swap out those generics for some named resources. So she will fulfill some of those roles. And then she'll approve those commitments. You'll notice today she's going to use a match feature, and that match feature has a percentage returned value. That is, the calculation for matching is based off of, number one, you'll see 25% if it is the same department that she's selecting, 25% for the role. So when she clicks match, you'll see a percentage to the far left-hand side in a column, and then 50% for the availability of that resource. So again, 25% if they're from the same department, 25% if they're for the same role, and then 50% based off of their availability. Step 3, once Christina saves her changes and or additions, I'll receive an email as the project manager, and then I'll go in and I'll review that notification or email and the named resources that she's entered. And then I'll approve those named resources, and that will become a full commitment. Some of the icons that you'll see today are, you'll notice this little gray icon, and that is when I first enter any named or generic resource, it will be private until I indicate that I want it to be either public or by saving or marking it using the make private or keep private or public icon. Once you'll also notice that there'll be a blue question mark, and that indicates that we are in negotiation. Once she has accepted or I have accepted, it becomes a commitment. So once you see 2 checks side by side, it's a full commitment. If I go in and I cancel one, you'll notice a gray icon, and I'll do that at the end. After the 3 steps, should I change something? If she sends it back to me and perhaps maybe I want to add additional hours, or maybe the resource that she's added to the resource plan doesn't work for me, and I change that, that resource negotiation will go not from a commitment but back into renegotiate. So she'll have to approve the changes that I've made. And then you'll see up on the ribbon we have the ability to accept, reject, and when there's nothing in the column for either the project manager or the resource manager, it indicates that, so if it's empty for Christina as a resource manager, it indicates it's her turn. So when it's blank, it indicates it's either the project manager or the resource manager's turn. With that, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are in the EPM Live site. Notice my name is indicated in the upper right-hand corner, indicating that I'm the individual currently logged in. I'm in the Project Center, and I'm in the Tracking Summary view. So imagine as a project manager, I've got this project item, hub to Upgrade, which I created earlier, and I've been asked to create a resource plan for this project. So I created this project item, and notice the project start and finish date. I entered these when I created this project item, so February out to May. So now I've been asked to create a resource plan for this project item. So I'm going to select this, and you'll notice up on the ribbon I have Edit Resource Plan button. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this. By clicking Edit Resource Plan button, it will launch the Resource Planner. You'll notice when we come into the Resource Planner, we have a top grid and a bottom grid here. Up on the top, it grabs the name of the project item. Out to the right, notice the months, February through May, because those are the months that I entered in the project item, so it's going to grab those months. Down below, notice the resources here. It says Show All Resources. So to begin creating a resource plan for this, we have nothing up on top, so it's just all resources. I have the ability to show generic resources, and that would just show me all these generics to the left with just those little icons. Plan resources, and that would be those resources that I've entered to the plan, and we don't have any yet. My team resources, those would be the people that I've entered or through Edit Team once I created the project item. And I have the match, which is unavailable at this time. Christina will show you shortly. Let's begin with generic resources. So as a project manager, I'm going to create a resource plan for this, and I'm not quite sure who I want, but I do know the roles that I want for this right now. So I've got up to Upgrade. So I've got my generic resources. Notice the icons to the left. And as a project manager, I know that I need a developer. So I'm going to select this developer. My Hub to Upgrade is selected, and I'm going to select this button, Add. So once I click Add, it's going to put that developer up on the top. Notice to the left, the icon indicates it's private. I haven't made this public yet. So I've got my developer from the Software Development Department, and the role is developer. I also know I need a BA, so I'm going to business analyst. I'm going to select business analyst. Notice Hub to Upgrade is highlighted. There's another way to add. I can use that Add button, but I can also drag and drop. By selecting business analyst and dropping on top of Hub Upgrade, it puts business analyst up here as well. So again, at this point, I could make this public by noting this public, or once I save, I have the option to make them all public. All right, now I know that I have, let's go ahead and select all resources, because I know I want to add myself, Marianne Uribe, as the project manager. So I'm going to select myself, make sure Hub Upgrade up to is selected, and then click Add. So I've got my project manager on there as well, and I also know I need a tester. So I'm going to select Brad Pitt from the same department, and the tester. Notice the numbers to the right here showing me remaining. Within the show, you have remaining, committed, and available. Remaining is the hours that Brad Pitt has available, or sorry, that remaining hours that are not committed. If I show committed, that would show me the hours that he's committed to other resource plans. And then available are the number of hours within the working period for that month. Okay, so I've got my resources here. I've got Marianne, developer, business analyst, and I'm going to add Brad Pitt. Now I'm going to go ahead and to the right, within February and May, I'm going to enter some hours. So for my developer, I know for a developer I'm going to need 80 hours. I can manually enter these hours to the right. For my business analyst, I know I'm going to need 90 hours or maybe 100. If I was working with maybe a 12-month spread, I wouldn't want to manually enter those. So another way to do this is to use the Allocate Values tool on the ribbon. Once I click Allocate Values, I have the ability to enter hours here, copy, spread, and then change the periods as well. So right now it's grabbed February through May because those are our months that are showing. I also have this clear other value or other periods. That is, if I was showing perhaps January all the way out to December and there were any other values in those months, and I selected to clear other periods, it would wipe out those grids. So I'm going to need 90 hours for this business analyst, and I'm going to select to copy those over those months. Once I click Apply, I'm going to close just to show you, notice it's placed those in that month. I'll do the same for Project Manager for Marianne Uribe, Allocate Values, and I'm going to choose 75 hours and Apply. Notice them in the background. Lastly, for my tester, I could manually enter I know I'm going to need a tester in April and May, but not in March and February, but I do want to be able to show you how to spread those, use the allocate values to spread. So I'm going to select allocate values for Brad Pitt. I'm going to need 80 hours, but I'm going to select to spread these hours. And I don't need him in February or March, so I'm going to change my months selected here. And then so it's April and May, and then I click Apply. Now, perhaps you would have manually entered those, but if you were to spread them over 6 months, this is an easy way to do it, as well as you can show FTEs or FTE percent. We'll leave them in hours. So as a project manager, I've come in and I've entered 2 generic resources and 2 named resources. I've added some hours, and now I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. It's going to prompt me and say, some plan rows are marked as private. Would you like to make them public? At this point, I'm going to say yes. By clicking yes, notice now within the Project Manager's column, I have my green check for me. It's Christina's time as her turn as a resource manager to accept or reject these. Christina will also, once I click Save, she'll receive a general notification as well as an email indicating what I've done as far as who I've entered and the hours. Now I'm going to go ahead and close, and I'm going to turn it over to Christina.
Thanks, Marianne. Hello, everybody. I'm logged in here to the same site that Marianne just created her resource plan. I'm the department manager or resource manager for the software development department. So as that department manager or resource manager, I've just received an email indicating that I have a resource plan for resources that I manage. Also, in addition to the email, I have a notification up here in my top right corner, the general notification. And if I select that notification, I can see that Marianne has a resource plan that she's updated for me to review. Brad Pitt and Marianne have both been named users that have been proposed. I also see here I have a business analyst and a developer proposed. So since I manage this department, I can go in and see who would be the best resource to assign it to these different roles for her project. Notice I have a link here, and I can open directly into the resource planner from this notification. And it'll show me the specific resources that are part of this notification here. Or as a resource manager for this whole department, maybe I want to be looking at my department overall in addition to these particular proposals. So to do so, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Resource Center by selecting Resources in my Quick Launch. And this shows me the full resource pool. Now I can change my views here. So if I want to group and sort by various components, I can go ahead and select Resources by Department. And you see we have 3 different departments within our organization. But since I'm the manager of just the software development department, maybe I just want to focus on my resources. So I can quickly select the My Resources button, and it'll filter out others that are not part of my department. And I can select this whole department here, and you'll see if I expand that, it selected everybody that's in that software development department. Now that I have my department resources selected, now I can choose how I want to manage them. First, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Resource Analyzer. And this is a helpful tool for resource managers to review how their resources are being allocated across all different types of projects or other portfolio items throughout the system. Here I can see the different portfolio items. In our example, these are 2 different projects where there are commitments as well as proposed work. So I can see there's different buttons, and I can choose the type of work or items that I want to show. So here I can just focus on what's committed and not focus on just what's proposed at this moment, or switch and just focus on what's proposed, or include everything and get really the full graph or the full picture of how my team is being allocated. So up at the top here, this currently is showing me per project, and I can see all of the different resources that are allocated for that each of those particular projects. And then down below, I see how all my resources are allocated and their totals across all those different projects. So now I'm going to go ahead and say Edit Resource Plan, and I'm going to actually go through and assign resources that Marianne has requested. So I see there's another project here for other resources that are in my department. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that project and just focus on this Hub 2 upgrade project for right now. So here I see that I have a tester, Brad, that has been requested, and I know that Brad will be a good fit for this project. And I can look and see for the 40 hours that he's requested each month. If I look down at the bottom, again, I can see his remaining availability is plenty here. So he definitely has the availability to work on this project. I can also change this to committed and see what else has he been committed to. He's only been committed to 40 other hours in those months, so he's probably a really good fit there. I'm going to go ahead and select his row, and I'm going to go, or excuse me, up in this row, and I'm going to go ahead and select the Accept button. Notice now the PM and the RM have both accepted Brad Pitt in this role for this project. Also, this is Marianne's project here, and she's a good fit as the project manager. If I look down here, I can see, yes, she does have the availability to work on this project. So again, I'm going to go ahead and select her row and click Accept. So now I have two resources that Marianne has put in generics, and I need to now find who are the named resources to allocate to this particular project. So I have the business analyst selected here, and now I'll go ahead and show you that match feature. By selecting the row that I want and I select match, notice that certain resources pulled up with their percentage of match. Now Edward here is 100% match because he is in that same department that was requested, software development. He is the same role that was requested, business analyst. Each resource is added with their primary role when they're added to the system. So he is marked as a business analyst. And then the other 50% of that match percentage calculation is based on his availability. As you can see, he has well over 90 hours each month available, so he's a great match for this particular proposal. So I'm going to go ahead and select Edward here and the business analyst role, and then select Add. And I have two options here. I can go ahead and fulfill this request, meaning it'll leave the business analyst row there, and it'll add Edward as fulfilling that. And so then I could add in one or multiple resources to fulfill a role. I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. And we also have the Replace button here, and that'll literally switch out the requested row with the row for that particular resource. I'm going to go ahead and select Fulfill. And you'll see now Edward has taken up all 90 of those hours for the business analyst row. And now that I've suggested Edward here and proposed it, notice that the check mark has disappeared from the PM column, and now it's showing in the RM column, meaning I, as the resource manager, have now proposed. And next it'll be Marianne's turn to review and accept that. I'm going to go ahead and do the match feature again for my developer role and select match. And you can see I have two different developers that are both 100% match based on their department, their role, and their available hours remaining. Now let's say, for example, I definitely want Jude on this project. I think he'd be a good fit for the type of work that they're developing and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and select Jude again, or select Jude and click the Add button, but maybe I don't want him working the full 80 hours. So I'm going to select Add, and again I'll select Fulfill. But perhaps what I want to do is indicate I only want to allocate Jude perhaps 40 of those 80 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and change this here and update how much time I want Jude spending. Notice that what this has done in the role row, the original 80 hours requested, there are now 40 remaining hours that need to be allocated. Since Jude is only taking up 40 of those hours, we still have 40 remaining. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is also add Kate, since she also is another great developer on my team, and I think she'll be a good fit for this project as well. Now if I select Kate, and I also have this developer row selected again, this time when I click Add, she's going to automatically take on those additional remaining 40 hours for each of those months. So now for this developer row, notice all 80 of the hours have now been allocated, and they're actually split now between Jude and Kate. So now I've made my changes. I've accepted two of the specifically named resources that were requested or proposed. I've also then matched and added named resources to the generic roles that were requested. So as a department manager, I've now allocated my team as I think would be a good fit. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Notice that now Brad is an active commitment, since now both the PM and the RM have agreed. The same with Marianne as the PM, as the project manager. We both have agreed. So now we just have these other 3 rows that are now still in active negotiations. So now I'm going to go ahead and let it go back over to Marianne, and she's going to take over again as the project manager and show you part 3 of our 3-part process.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, great. So I'm the project manager. I created the project item. I went in and I created a resource plan. I saved it. The resource manager looked at it, made her changes, saved it, and now it's back in my hands. Up in the upper right-hand corner, notice my general notifications number is number 1, indicating that Christina Williams has updated my resource plan. Once I click on that, I can see that she is, for Brad Pitt, she agreed to my proposed commitment. I can see that she's proposed Edward and Jude Law here, as well as Kate. And she agreed to my proposed commitment for myself as the project manager. From general notifications, as well as my email, I can get to the resource planner from this link. Or, again, I'm in the project center. I can select that project item and then select to edit resource plan. And it's going to launch the resource planner. Once inside the resource planner, I can see that this is my turn for this Edward Cullen, as well as Jude Law and Kate. She's accepted these. Now it's up to me to do. Are these roles something that I want to accept? Is Edward a good fit for this project? If I think so, I select Edward and I choose to accept on the ribbon. Once I save, that will become, just like Brad Pitt is, a full commitment. Same with Jude Law and Kate. Are these good fits for my project? I can accept or reject. I'm going to go ahead and accept. And Kate once again. So I've accepted those. I can go ahead and save. And now notice these are all active commitments. Now at this point, if I were to make any changes, like maybe if I decided that I really needed Edward for 100 hours in April and May, if I were to change those hours and save, this would go back in to renegotiate. And then it would be up to Christina to accept or reject those. What else can I do from this window at this point? If I select any one of these resources, if I want to view the history, I can use the history button up on the ribbon. And notice here it says, Marianne Uribe proposed Brad Pitt on this date and this time, and Christina agreed at this date and time. Additionally, if I need to cancel any of them, I can simply select them and click the Cancel button up on the ribbon. And notice the icon goes to Canceled. Then at that point, I can delete. Once I click delete, it'll prompt me, are you sure? And I click OK, and it's gone. It's removed. And it's as simple as that, our 1, 2, 3 process. And again, at this point, if I chose to make any additional changes, then of course it would be another step or 2, because it would go back into renegotiate. Thank you.
Yep. And then also as the resource manager, as I'm going back in and if I were to analyze my team, again, now I can see these hours are now committed against their availability, so I could continue reviewing my team and then on to additional projects where they might be getting proposed as well. So now I do want to point out for you, if you are on our EPM Live site, you can please visit our training page. This topic that we covered today with regards to our resource negotiations is one of the many topics that we cover in our training curriculum. We have a number of different training services, training documentation, training materials available to our customers and partners alike. So please feel free to check out our training page. If you have any questions, you can always contact us. Also sign up. You can also then be accessing our various documentation, EPM Live University, etc. Also, we have an upcoming webinar coming up in just 2 days from now, this coming Thursday, on the resource management lifecycle. So please check out that webinar as well and be sure to register for it so you can see the full breadth of all of your various resource management capabilities within EPM Live. So we thank you very much for your time today. We look forward to seeing you in our future training, and we hope you have a good rest of your day and good week, everybody. Thank you.